Breaking news: DEA raids El Mencho's mansion in Jalisco. It has always been said that one of the reasons El Mencho, also known as Oseguera Cervantes, has not been captured is due to his cunning avoidance of excessive luxuries that could attract too much attention from authorities. For someone who must be constantly on the move, drawing attention is the last thing he would want. But what exactly does avoiding excessive luxuries mean for a drug lord? Weapons, gigantic properties, jewelry, drugs, exotic animals, cash, and a collection of luxury cars are just some of the things found in properties seized from Oseguera Cervantes. Pay attention, because I'm going to show you in this video what the DEA did to El Mencho, successfully confiscating several of his properties, including his mansion. Get comfortable and enjoy, but not before reminding you to subscribe, leave us your powerful like, and activate the notification bell. That would really help us a lot. Now, let's begin. Oseguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, is one of the most dangerous and brutal drug traffickers globally, being the undisputed leader of a criminal organization with the most resources currently, not only in Mexico, but also internationally, where he has expanded his illicit activities. The Attorney General's office and the DEA, in the attempt to weaken the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and perhaps reduce the scope of its operations, have seized various objects and properties totaling tens of millions of dollars, and some of them are estimated to be the most significant for Oseguera Cervantes. In 2021, Mexican authorities seized various assets from Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, valued at over $10 million. Some of the items taken from El Mencho and his family were cars, jewelry, exotic animals, and luxury cars. Similarly, authorities confiscated more than 34 properties belonging to the cartel boss. The Attorney General's office reported that they have currently seized around 160 million Mexican pesos from Oseguera Cervantes, equivalent to around $10 million. This amount is distributed among bank accounts, jewelry, boats, properties, and animals. It was also noted that through the Subprosecuror's office in charge of organized crime investigation, known as SEIDO, among the 34 properties seized from Oseguera Cervantes, their value amounts to 91.5 million pesos. Notably, among these properties, there is a very exclusive hotel that was frequently visited and known internationally in the town of La Cruz de Loreto in Tamaulipas, Jalisco. I'm seeing very large figures for someone who supposedly lived modestly. Or perhaps, is this what a drug lord could consider modest? Following the same line of thought, we also need to mention Oseguera Cervantes' collection of vehicles. It was reported that 139 vehicles were seized from the cartel, including luxury models and even his own boat. But for now, let's focus on El Mencho's vehicle collection. Within the luxurious car collection of El Mencho is a Lamborghini Aventador, a model valued at approximately $400,000 due to its distinctive yellow color. This car boasts 770 horsepower and can accelerate to nearly 100 kilometers per hour in less than 3 seconds, a dream for many in the audience. Another vehicle in the expensive collection of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel boss is a Lamborghini RS SUV, one of the most iconic models from the Italian manufacturer today, priced at nearly $300,000. Oseguera Cervantes also owns an exotic Aston Martin Vantage equipped with a V8 twin-turbo engine, capable of generating 503 horsepower with an approximate value of $155,000. The Lamborghini RS SUV is one of the 139 vehicles belonging to El Mencho and the CJNG that were found by authorities. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes owns a convertible Jaguar F-Type, a vehicle featuring a V8 engine, producing 495 horsepower and priced at $75,000. Can you imagine it? For all those in the audience who had the opportunity at some point to enjoy a game from the famous Need for Speed saga, they might visualize what it would be like to have all their favorite cars once dreamed of parked in a single garage. The garage of the drug trafficker better known as El Mencho, confiscated by the DEA and the Mexican government. We mentioned that Oseguera Cervantes owned a luxurious hotel in the town of La Cruz del Laredo. But what about the other 33 properties? El Mencho owns an upscale property in the Loma Blanca neighborhood, Zapopan, built with Canadian wood, marble, and granite, with an approximate value of $650,000. Additionally, another property owned by Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes is an apartment located in the upscale area known as Puerta de Hierro in Zapopan. This apartment, located in the Aura Altitude Tower, cost almost $1 million, and this is where Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, wife of the drug lord, resided. In another turn of events, and for the first time, the Drug Enforcement Administration publicly referred to what would be an approximation of the wealth owned by the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, estimated to exceed $1 billion, a figure that would undoubtedly place him as one of the world's richest criminals. However, according to federal agency records, the kingpin does not lead a life that can be considered luxurious or involve significant expenses to maintain a low profile and avoid detection, considering the aforementioned. Despite owning numerous properties, his method of acquisition was so subtle that it apparently had not raised suspicions. But continuing with the list, he also owns luxurious cabins built on a lagoon in the Mexican Pacific, a true paradise on earth, exclusively for the use of Oseguera Cervantes and his associates. He is also the owner of more than 100 Japanese restaurants, commercial plazas, print media, real estate, and his own brand of tequila, which was attempting to be exported to Europe, gold bars with which they laundered money, and even a ranch where exotic animals, including a Bengal tiger and endangered birds, were kept. These are just some of the assets and properties that have been seized by the US and Mexican authorities in recent years, considering them part of the network of companies used to launder money and finance the criminal activities of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Taking into account the aforementioned, on which the Drug Enforcement Administration could base its estimate of the fortune of the drug lord leader, it results in a truly extraordinary sum. A calculation of how large the fortune amassed by the leader of this organization dedicated to drug trafficking, fuel theft, arms smuggling, and a long list of crimes that could seem almost endless. The federal agency believes that Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, has earned more than $1 billion. I would say he has at least $500 million and could even exceed $1 billion, said Carl Murray, the DEA agent who has been leading the investigation to capture the almost ghostly leader of the CJNG for 8 years. He seems to disappear from authorities' radar at every moment, but there is speculation that he could now be hiding somewhere in the mountains of western Mexico. But then, why haven't they captured him? Let's remember that the territory of western Mexican mountains is not only vast, but also an ideal site for any type of military counteroffensive that CJNG hitmen and soldiers could launch to protect their leader. It isn't necessary to recall that Oseguera Cervantes has heavily armed and trained hitmen, in addition to an extensive arsenal of military weaponry. Returning to the topic of Oseguera Cervantes, he is not squandering his money on luxury restaurants or noisy parties, as other drug lords who are now either in prison or deceased have done. In fact, according to the DEA, Oseguera Cervantes leads a rather modest life, staying away from cities to maintain a low profile and avoid detection. Additionally, he has used his money to finance an extensive network of businesses and companies used for money laundering. It is challenging to know for certain how many businesses are under the influence of Oseguera Cervantes. Regarding to the Narcos leader's modest lifestyle, Agent Murray alleges the following. It's very difficult to drive a Lamborghini or a Ferrari when you live in the mountains being pursued, explains the agent. He highlights that, on the contrary, other members of the CJNG and its financial arm, Los Queenies, have an eccentric lifestyle. There are members of Los Queenies who have traveled to Ibiza, rented enormous yachts, with many women and all kinds of alcohol. They have bought expensive jewelry, racehorses, anything. Exotic animals like tigers or even sharks, whatever their money allows, and sooner or later, this puts them on the radar. So, is Oseguera Cervantes really a simple and prudent man? Or does he have to sacrifice his pleasures to remain free? The DEA is concerned about the accelerated expansion of Mencho's cartel, which already dominates in 28 states out of the 32 federal entities in Mexico, has a presence in the most important cities in the US, and maintains partnership with mobsters on all 5 continents who receive drugs shipments and distribute them in their respective countries. The US government fears that CJNG has become the criminal organization with the most significant international presence in the history of Mexican drug trafficking, possibly establishing a criminal empire larger than estimated. Why is this feared? Reports confirm that some arrested Queenies have been seen in places as far away as Brazil and Uruguay. This would mean that the cartel has an international network to distribute cocaine and all kinds of synthetic drugs. Hence, it is believed that its global reach is already larger than that of the Sinaloa cartel. The CJNG has a presence on every continent, except Antarctica. They are in Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, South America. They are an expansive network, a virus, spreading and expanding to every corner of the planet. An analysis by the US Congress's Research Service in 2018 warned that they are already responsible for distributing cocaine and methamphetamine along 10,000 kilometers of the Pacific coast in a route that stretches from the southern cone to the border of the United States and Canada. However, drug trafficking is just one part of their illicit businesses. The clearest example is the bloody war their gunmen wage against the Santa Rosa de Lima cartel for control of their lucrative fuel theft, also known as huachicoleo, occurring in the state of Guanajuato. They will do whatever it takes to make money. Arms trafficking, human smuggling, sex trafficking, extortion of legitimate businesses, charging fees to local drug traffickers, theft of fuel or minerals, anything to keep the cartel's coffers full, regardless of how much blood they must shed in the process or how many enemies they must make disappear. The astonishing expansion of the CJNG in the United States goes hand in hand with the control of cities on the border with California and Texas, seized from opposing groups through gunfire. Their primary method of smuggling drugs is using private cars that pass through immigration checkpoints, although tunnels have been also discovered, and individuals trafficking narcotics under their clothes continue to be arrested. The DEA asserts that the Mencho's criminal organization is already distributing more drugs on the streets of the US than the Sinaloa cartel, which has done so for over 20 years. Not only did they copy their smuggling methods, but they are also taking away clients and even laundering money in the same city, Los Angeles. In this regard, a federal indictment revealed that between 2011 and 2014, one of their cells operating in northern Illinois used this scheme to launder money. They purchased large quantities of gold bars, reselling them for over $100 million to companies in California and Florida. Part of that sum was sent to the organization's leaders in Mexico through the bank account of a company dedicated to stock sales. This avoided the risky transport of bundles of bills across the southwest border. The DEA does everything in its power to try to stop the advance of the CJNG in the cities of the country. They orchestrated a massive operation in California in 2020 that led to the arrest of 500 members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and the seizure of drugs. In this event, officials not only arrested 500 alleged individuals linked to the cartel, but also confiscated 15 kilograms of methamphetamine and almost $20 million. In addition to this, a high-ranking member within the cartel's structure was arrested, with the expectation of weakening the CJNG's presence in the state. However, nothing changed. The cartel not only continues to operate in California, but the United States must make special efforts to combat the most ruthless and violent cartel in Mexico, which is believed to have drug distribution centers in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Houston, and Atlanta, at least as far as is currently known. The US government's concern lies in the fact that, unlike other cartels, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel does not hesitate to attack police and military forces. This was demonstrated by systematically massacring federal agents in Mexico, where the CJNG is attributed to the deadliest attacks in the country and has carried out other spectacular acts of violence to eliminate its rivals. The CJNG is not only a very violent organization, but is also heavily armed. Currently, its main merchandise is estimated to be methamphetamine and fentanyl, which they sell up to 14 times the production cost, generating astronomical profits for the cartel. This, in turn, floods the streets of the United States, creating the worst opiate addiction epidemic in history, fueling homelessness and leaving a trail of corpses caused by overdoses. In the Dallas areas, specifically in DeSoto, in North Texas, another group trafficked thousands of kilograms of methamphetamine by setting up several labs in clandestine houses for the drug's recrystallization. They also used an automotive business to store large amounts of narcotics, and the proceeds from drug sales were used to buy cars in an effort to hide the source of those funds, knows the Department of Justice. El Mencho has spent part of those $1 million profits on cockfighting. A source told Univision Noticias in previous years that he wagered over $100,000 and invested it in various businesses in Jalisco. According to the Office of Foreign Assets Control, an agency of the Treasury Department dedicated to identifying and sanctioning individuals and entities linked to international organized crime, the drug lord's money ended up in the newspapers Uno Mas Uno and Diario Amanecer. The Japanese restaurants Kenso and Mizu, with over 100 branches in Jalisco, the music promoter Galistica, as well as in commercial plazas, luxury hotels, and various businesses. As a result of the OFAC investigation, the Mexican government, in collaboration with the US intelligence agencies, confiscated El Mencho's Hotelito Desconocido, a luxurious eco-friendly establishment that offers guest cabins built over a lagoon in Tomatlan. The Treasury Department had strategically focused on the leaders of the CJNG and Los Queenies, as well as complicit family members, criminal operators, and businesses under their control, warned the OFAC Director Andrea Gecki in October 2018 when the Department of Justice raised the reward for the capture of Oseguera Cervantes to $10 million. There is no doubt that the DEA does everything in its power to keep the CJNG in check. However, as we've mentioned several times on this channel, Oseguera Cervantes is a very cunning individual. At this stage of the game, the exact extent of the money laundering network linked to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel is still unknown. The United States and Mexico are waging a desperate war to curb drug trafficking in the region, and certainly, to date, their worst enemy has been the CJNG, even surpassing the Sinaloa cartel. Every critical blow that the DEA manages to inflict on the organization seems to be quickly countered by another move from the cartel. In this war against drug trafficking, it appears that Oseguera Cervantes is always one step ahead of the authorities. There is no doubt that El Mencho is one of the most dangerous drug traffickers in the world, being the leader of the criminal organization with the most financial resources in Mexico. Over the past few years, Mexican authorities, in collaboration with the DEA, have tried to weaken the organization led by El Mencho through seizures of cars, mansions, and other costly possessions, as well as the arrest of high-ranking officials. However, it seems that nothing can still stop the advance of the CJNG. Alright, I've reached the end of today's video. Grateful that you have accompanied us to the end. Before you go, remember to leave us a like and let us know your opinion on this topic. Also, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell. That helps us a lot. With nothing more to say, until next time.